We're all in the middle of Christmas preparations, I believe. Earlier this week, I took out our Christmas dishes. When I say out of storage. While washing them, I noticed the name of the Christmas tree-centered design is called Peace on Earth. Christmas season is often referred to as the season of peace on earth. It is a cherished time that spans the weeks leading up to and following December 25th. Rooted in both religious and cultural traditions, Christmas is celebrated worldwide as a moment to reflect on kindness, generosity, and hope. During this season, homes, streets, and public spaces come alive with sparkling lights, like we have here, festive decorations, also as we have here, and music that fills the air with joy and anticipation. And we did that thanks to Kate. Central to the Christmas season, and Pat, I'm sorry, Pat, I'm so used to you being there that, this is her first time. So it's Kate and Pat. You're just part of the furniture? I don't see you that way, but I do count on you being here every week. And I knew you would make it. I don't know how I knew that, but I knew you'd be here. Central to the Christmas season is the enduring message of peace. Inspired by the story of the Nativity, which heralds the birth of Jesus and proclaims peace on earth, goodwill toward men, the season encourages people of all backgrounds to set aside differences, extend compassion, and foster harmony with one another. Families and friends gather for festive meals, exchange gifts, and participate in time-honored customs such as decorating Christmas trees, singing carols, and baking cookies. We'll sing some carols on Christmas Eve. I hope this hearty crowd can show up again. These traditions strengthen bonds and create lasting memories, all while reinforcing the themes of love and reconciliation that define the season. Many also take time for quiet reflection, offering prayers and wishes for peace in their homes and around the world. Acts of charity become widespread as individuals and communities reach out to help those in need, embodying, that's what we're doing, the spirit of giving and unity. So sometimes we need a story to be carried down through the ages, and sometimes we just need to have the story embodied by those who believe in peace. While Christmas is rooted in the Christian beliefs, its message of peace and goodwill resonates across cultures and religions. The hope for a more harmonious world, while understanding, compassion, and joy prevail, is one that transcends boundaries. Giovanni said that joy without borders, you might say. Ultimately, the Christmas season stands as a beacon of hope and a celebration of the possibilities that arise when people choose peace. Just like I wrote about choosing hope, we choose peace and choose harmony over discord. It is a time to cherish loved ones, spread happiness, and believe in the power of goodwill to make the world a better place. During the 1948 Christmas season in Paris on December the 10th, representatives from nations scarred by the devastation of World War II came together. They adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, an extraordinary document affirming the inherent dignity and the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family. It was and remains a beacon of hope. The story of the Declaration began in the ashes of war and genocide. The world had seen the worst of humanity, and from that suffering arose a bold vision that never again should anyone be denied their rights because of who they are, where they live, or what they believe. Eleanor Roosevelt, who chaired the drafting committee, called the Declaration the International Magna Carta for all humankind. It was the first global recognition that rights belong not only to citizens of powerful nations, but to every person everywhere. The Declaration laid out 30 articles affirming rights to life, liberty, security, equality before the law, freedom of thought and religion, and more. There's 33. I'm not going to read them all. It declared that no one should be held in slavery, tortured, or arbitrarily imprisoned. It called for the right to education and work, to participate in government, and to seek asylum from persecution. The world had never before agreed to such a universal set of standards. While the Declaration itself is not legally binding, it has inspired constitutions, laws, and movements. It is a moral touchstone, a measuring rod for justice, and a promise to generations not yet born. Since 1948, the Declaration has shaped international policies and encouraged governments to recognize and protect fundamental rights. It provided the framework for treaties and conventions against racial discrimination, for the rights of children, women, and refugees. Still, its promise, unfortunately, remains unfinished, and its ideals are also yet to be fully realized, and currently in our country, sadly, attacked. Our faith, Unitarian Universalism, is deeply intertwined with the spirit of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Now, our current principles and purposes were introduced in 1984. So it was, a number of years after the Declaration for Human Rights. So there was kind of a model to put this in a religious language. At the heart of our tradition are principles that call us to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice and equity, compassion in human relations, and the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We are guided by these 7 principles, each resonating with the Declaration's vision, including the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Now, these beliefs are not only statements of belief, they are also calls to action. They urge us to stand with those whose rights are denied, to speak out against injustice, and work for a world where each person can live freely and fully. And here I want to recognize the efforts that UUFN, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Newark, makes in terms of, as a community of faith, advancing the call to meet injustice with generosity and kindness and compassion. And we have a lot of things going on. The shared plate today for Kenya? For Kenya? No. Water's Life Kenya. Thank you. I'm going over there and shop. It sounds like fascinating. But when I arrived early this morning, people from the social justice group were organizing the gifts that were brought in, and they're very close to having all the ones that they asked for. And when I walked through the door before I got there, I noticed, what did I notice? I noticed the flag as I came from my car, and I thought to myself, nobody would doubt what we stand for. If they don't stand for that, that's a warning flag. Don't come in. But if you do stand for that, come. Actually, we want everybody to come, whether you think you stand for that or not. You probably do if you got that far. And then, of course, we have the two boxes, one for food and one for non-food objects that are going to the food bank. And that's just today, right? That's just today. You operate all year round. So on behalf of the human rights of all people, I thank you for your individual and community efforts. Taken together with all the efforts, it's huge, huge. Now, as a faith, UUs have a long history of engagement with human rights. From the abolitionist movement to the fight for women's suffrage, from civil rights advocacy to LGBTQ plus equality, and members of our faith have been at the forefront of moments and movements for justice. We've stood in solidarity with refugees, marched for peace, and lobbied for laws to protect those most vulnerable. Our tradition calls us not only to believe in human rights, but to actively defend them. One of my very favorite UU stories of the abolitionists, Reverend Theodore Parker, 19th century guy, who wrote his sermons with a gun on his desk to threaten anyone who came looking for the runaway slaves he was hiding in his secret stop of the Underground Railroad to freedom. He was quite the minister. And I say warning because I kind of doubt he would actually, well, maybe he would. If we seek peace on earth, we must begin with human rights. Peace is not merely the absence of war, but the presence of justice. Where rights are denied, unrest festers. When rights are protected, the seeds of peace are sown. Where people are free, respected, and included, peace flourishes. History provides vivid examples. In South Africa, the struggle against apartheid, supported by international human rights advocacy, led not only to the end of institutionalized racism, but to a peaceful transition to democracy. In Eastern Europe, the recognition of human rights helped bring down oppressive regimes and nurture new freedoms. Yet we know peace is fragile and is being threatened as I speak. It requires vigilance, courage, and solidarity. Human rights are not just given. They must continually be claimed and protected by each generation. Today, across the globe, activists and ordinary people, sometimes risking their lives, stand up for the rights of others. These include prominent figures of today, like the youngest Nobel laureate, Pakistani, Malala Yousafzai, in girls' education, Swedish Greta Thunberg. I know it's a really crazy translation and pronunciation of what looked like Berg at the end of Thunberg, but Thunberg. Iraqi-born Nadia Murad, who advocates for genocide and sexual violence survivors. American actress Laverne Cox, LGBTQ plus rights, and American journalist Noor Tagore, alongside countless others working on issues from anti-poverty to free speech, demonstrating a global movement addressing so many injustices. I don't want to even try and name them all. And of course, there is Amnesty International. One of our UU presidents at what time was president of Amnesty International, Bill Schultz. It's a global movement of millions working to end human rights abuses. And we have our ACLU, which we work with right here in this congregation. Since 1948, awareness and protection of human rights have grown, but so have the challenges. The world has witnessed tremendous progress. Colonial empires have fallen. Dictatorships have given way to democracies, and millions have gained access to education, health care, and equality before the law. New rights have emerged reflecting the needs of contemporary society, rights for women, children, indigenous peoples, LGBTQ individuals, and people with disabilities. Yet, we live in a time of crisis, and crisis does invite opportunities. Millions are displaced by war, climate change threatens livelihoods and homes, and discrimination persists. We know authoritarian has risen or is rising in many places, shrinking the space for dissent and endangering freedoms. I got out so early I didn't read this before I came here this morning, and so I'll drink some more water. The Universal Declaration's promise still calls us. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Now you see that connection with the inherent worthiness of every person? Our task is to make this more than an aspiration, but a reality for all. Why do we as Unitarian Universalists care about human rights? Because we're that kind of a person who wants them, and our faith teaches that every person has the right to them. Our spirituality is expressed in action, in ways we treat one another, and in the causes we champion. And I want to say that I find you today to be a very mature congregation, healthy, and you treat one another gently, with care. And I remember when that always wasn't true, but you have all grown into who you are now. So just right here, you have instituted what you want for everywhere. And human rights are not a distant concern. This work is both personal and communal. Each of us can examine how our own lives interact with the rights of others. As I listen about water, I recommit to something I haven't been paying as much attention to as when I first committed, to definitely try not to waste it. And it's not that easy to do, actually. We waste a lot of water. Shorter showers, just, there are a lot of ways. I won't go into them now. You pick your own commitment. At the moment, I'm back on water, as well as others. But as a community, you can ask, who's missing from our circle? Who do we want to reach out to? And why are the missing not here? How can we expand our compassion to include those who are marginalized or excluded? This is a challenge, a big challenge. But we can let us live our UU principles by welcoming refugees, supporting fair wages, protecting our environment, and standing against discrimination, building bridges across differences, listen deeply, and speak up for those who are silenced. Small actions matter. A kind word, a letter written, a protest joined. I know a lot of you have protested many different ways. A vote cast. I believe every one of you have voted. Each is a step toward peace. When we act together, our impact grows. So we have our children to think of. We have a wonderful program. I'd like to see more children here to be nourished in the spirit of advocacy. Our tradition teaches that revelation is not sealed. The call for justice renews itself in every generation. When we act for human rights, we're becoming living testaments to the power of hope. And so today, as we light the first Hanukkah candle, which I'm going to ask if you would do that, Sarah, we remember the story of resilience. Which one? And one more, because it's the first day of Hanukkah. And I think we come out from the middle. This, I've forgotten. Does anyone know for sure you come out from the middle? That's what I remember. Oh, we all need a lesson on lighting the Hanukkah candle. But there we are. The Maccabees reclaimed their right to worship, their right to be themselves, and their place in community. The miracle of the oil reminds us that hope can sustain us, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Is there anyone here, I'm not going to tell it, but is there anyone here that does not know the story of the Maccabees? We just don't know how to light their candle. The Hanukkah candle shines as a symbol of resistance to tyranny, of the enduring light of justice. In lighting this candle, we affirm our commitment to human rights and to peace on earth. We remember those whose light has been dimmed by injustice, and we pledge to be bearers of hope. As this flame keeps going, let us hold in our hearts all those who yearn for freedom, who struggle for dignity, and who dream of a world where every person is valued. And that is a Christmas prayer. May people be valued. May this light remind us that small acts of courage can transform the world. There's a lot of us in the world. If we all acted with courage, even in a small way, the lights will shine. As the light grows, may our resolve to work for human rights grows as well. May the light be a beacon. We're going to have many lights this Christmas season. Hanukkah, just the beginning. Advent candles, Christmas Eve. And candles for our joys and sorrows. I really hope that during Christmas you use the candles and keep lighting the world. Because the work of human rights is never finished, and we all have a role to play. And I invite you this week to think on your role. How are you already? And is there anything you can add to be an advocate for every person's rights? Remember that while the Universal Declaration of Human Rights emerged from suffering, it's also a promise, a covenant among peoples. As we advocate, educate, and act, we help fulfill this promise and move the world closer to peace. May we remember the power of community, the importance of justice, and the sacredness of every life. I say that at every memorial service. Light a candle for the human life, sacred in its living and sacred in its dying. May you find peace in your soul, resolve in your spirit, and let's count on our collective action that is helping to heal the world that is in so much need. And if you yourself are in need, remember that we have a fund that can assist you. It's the Minister's Discretionary Fund. And if you have a need or someone close to you, please let me know about it so I can be of assistance. and we will add to that fund on Christmas Eve. Go in peace. Blessed be.